Hey guys, welcome back to REC, where we talk all things audio production and sound. I'm so excited to continue our series on vocal production, and today's video is all about harmony.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
If you want to see the rest of the videos in this playlist, it'll be linked down below in the description. Let's get started. All right, guys, we are diving into the song. Let's check it out. Shackles. So what we did thus far, we have some vocal stacks from the last one, as well as the main vocal take. So if you want to see my process, again, all the videos are linked down below in the description. Let's dive into how it sounds without the new recordings I did, okay?
These shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise you. I just wanna praise you.
Cool. Now we are going to add in vocal stacks. First thing I do in my vocal stacks is I add doubles. I do a double left and double right. This is really just to get a base in terms of things hitting correctly. So I've recorded double left, double right. Let's take a listen.
Shackles on my feet so I can dance.
So what I did with this is I recorded farther away from the microphone and I did it with attitude because I wanted a little bit more of that like low end, because if we listen to the vocal take, the main one,
these shackles off my feet so I can dance.
it's very forward, it's light, I have like a bit of attitude, but when we add this in,
these shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise you. I just wanna praise you.
So that will make sense with everything else in it, but I wanted to color the sound. All right, so then after that, I add an octave below. So let's take a listen to those two together. Struggle is real, singing low.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
We don't need to listen to it on its own, but you can tell. Struggle's real, singing an octave lower for me. Duds. That was low. Anyway, but with the other one,
these shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise you. I just wanna praise you.
Okay, so that is starting to make sense. We're adding that width at the bottom, that support that will help drive the main melody, because that is the first part of stacks for me, is making sure that my melody is home. All right, so next we have the higher octave, which also I don't want to show you soloed because it doesn't sound good, but no shame here.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
Oh, it's less bad than I thought it was. I recorded these last night, so anyway, so the idea is with these two,
shackles off my feet so I can dance.
we're trying to get the octave below, the octave above, again, pulling and focusing on the main vocal, because that's what we're trying to emphasize. But between the doubles and the octaves, let's listen to how full that feels compared to without it, right? So
these shackles off my feet so I can dance.
right?
I just wanna praise you. I just wanna praise you.
Okay, so we're already getting some emphasis. We'll try it without it. Okay, so without.
These shackles off my feet so I can dance.
Cool. Now with.
These shackles off my feet so I can dance.
Right? We're getting some sauce, we're getting some color, we're getting some width, we're getting some play. The stereo spectrum is starting to open up. We're getting that stereo width that we want. We have it panned left and right. Again, this is just doing the left channel and the right channel, recording the same note. Ain't anything complicated. So what I then do to add harmonies, because this is what the whole video is about, harmonies, adding vocal stacks, vocal harmonies. I will often go about doing either a third above, a fifth above, a seventh. It just depends on what the song needs. So rather than doing like harmony third, harmony fifth, whatever, I'll just do 1, 2, 3. So I have harmony 1, which is a following the main melody, basically a third above.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
So actually, let's listen to that alone with the main vocal so you can really hear.
These shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise you. I just wanna praise you.
That sounds fun. All right, now let's listen to it with the other ones. The doubles, the lower octave, and the higher octave.
These shackles off my feet so I can dance.
That's already sounding pretty full, right?
These shackles off my feet so I can dance.
Right? Okay, so now let's do the next harmony over.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise you. I just wanna praise you.
So one thing you might notice is that I have all of the dance, most of them cut out. It's because I didn't want so many S's or C's, just the sibilants, competing with the main one. So I took a few that were in the correct placement that didn't detract away and make it sound cluttered. So often what I'll do is with breath marks, with any sort of sibilants, with any sort of plosives, in the background vocals, I'll take them out. I will remove them. Legit, just cut it out. And then place a few so it doesn't sound like I'm just removing. And again, people will use de-essers. For me, I find de-essers often very clunky. I tend to do this manually as much as I can so that when I do de-ess, it's only giving just the baseline amount so then it becomes subtle. Anyway, so that is the lower, I'm I think on like a lower,
Shackles off my feet.
roughly about a lower third, okay?
Shackles off my feet so I can dance. Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
See, that sounds pretty nice. And then if we're adding in the lower octave and the higher octave, just so we can hear the voices on their own.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
And the fun thing about it is that when you're doing doubles, it's okay if you're like a few cents off of the pitch because it adds a natural chorusing. So you don't mind as much.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
See, that sounds pretty nice and clean. All right, so then moving on, we are going to add in a counter melody, right? So we have the main harmonies and the harmony 1 and harmony 2, those are both following the main vocal take. Right? Now we have a few different principles that I like to dive into when thinking of harmonies. So I will think of something in terms of ascending or descending, right? The vocal melody is descending. It's going do 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 do. That's a downward feeling. So often what I would try to do to then counter that feeling so the whole thing doesn't feel like it's dropping, I would add in a counter melody that lifts it. So the end note or the end of a phrase doesn't feel like it's falling down and everything's going down. There's like an uplift happening. So we have a counter melody. We'll listen to it.
Shackles on my feet so I can dance.
Super cute. But the idea is there, right? And with everything, it makes sense. So we have that happening, and that shackles on my feet so I can dance. That pull up afterwards will make it feel like it's lifting a little bit. So let's take a listen.
These shackles off my feet so I can dance.
See, it just pulls it up that little bit. Do you hear? Let's try that
These
again.
shackles off my feet so I can dance.
It's nice. And then without
These
it,
shackles off my feet so I can dance.
see, that feels lower. There's just that little bit of lift. Again, so the fill is the next element that you want to think of. This is kind of like the counter melody, but it is to fill in extra notes that I think would sound cool. Let's listen.
Shackles on my feet so I can dance.
Dance. That's also nice.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
That also works for me. So the idea is to put in extra little notes, intonation, fill it. I listen to a lot of jazz and gospel, and with jazz and gospel, you have these incredible vocal arrangements, and sometimes it just feels not just a resolved chord, but you're adding dissonance and tension, and you want to be able to play with tension and release in harmony. And I'm trying to speak in terms of just ideas and concepts, not necessarily going into music theory, but just things you can think of: ascending, descending, counter melody, filling in, having lower harmony, above harmony, and then what we're really going to get into in the next ones are tone. So next thing we're going to think of is a home or a drone, right? So as I said, the main melody is the home that we want to go to, but often there'll be like a root note in there or some sort of thing that brings a resolve or a support, a foundation to the entire melody. And so that's this.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. Anyway, with everything else,
Shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise you. I just wanna praise you.
all right, so next up we're going to do tones. So these ones we have, I want some attitude, because without it, let's listen.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
Like, let's say we're taking out the doubles, right?
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
It just
I
feels
just
really
wanna praise
soft,
you.
which isn't
I
bad,
just wanna praise you.
but I just want some attitude, you know? So I'm going to add in this dude. They sound really weird on their own. However, in the song, it's about emphasizing the words and letting them come forward, right? So let's take a listen.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
You know, shackles off my feet so I can dance. Like, I'm being silly with it. But this is the thing, background harmonies, you can be super, super silly. Like, you've seen those videos of people being like, I record myself as a choir. And then they do a whole bunch of different vocal tones. It actually kind of works like that. Depending on what you are trying to emphasize, you want to try different things. So again, let's take a listen to that.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
Right? Okay, and then let's take a listen to this dude.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
Anyway, but within it,
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
not so bad. Right? And then we have a lower one here, right? So this dude,
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
I have two different ones going on. So I can dance. That was that fill note I wanted. Da da. So let's take a listen to all the stacks on their own.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise you. I just wanna praise you.
So we have here the different vocals. I wanted them feeling a bit loose so they're not perfectly timed and tight. But on words that it was important, I moved a few things over so it felt a little bit more cohesive. Let's take a listen.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
Again, I'm hearing a few things that could use some tweaking. This is like what I would do if I were fixing up and needing to tune a few things, which that would be the next step. But yeah, so then let's say I record all these stacks, I like them. Then what I would do is look over here. I do basic routing. All of these are routed into a main aux. I have everything routed left and right, and I'm keeping it between 8, and that one's the drone. That's why that's closer to the center. But otherwise, it's between like 12 and let's say 45. 45 is wide for me. That one's the higher one. Okay, normally I keep it between like 15 and 30. All right, so first thing we have on here, we have a pull tech, and I'm just pulling out 80 hertz and below, which I don't want in there. Next, I am doing a slight carving. So I found it a bit bright. I want to pull out a little bit of competing frequencies around 3. I found that a bit annoying. And I boosted a tiny bit, I think, or a decent amount actually, 2 dB on 5K, just so the articulation came through. All right, so next up I put in 2 different compressors. I'm using the 1176 AE. So it's a compressor I wanted just to add some color. I chose a preset background vocals and played with it. So we did that, and then I also added in Avalon vacuum tube classic. Always sounds good. I often use this on all of my vocals. Yeah, I just wanted to add in some color to it. So we can listen to that, what I did, just so you can hear what each one does. So without it.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
Okay, now let's do the EQ.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
You're not going to hear that too much just because it is on the low end and you're listening on YouTube. So we have that already trimmed a bit. And then next up we have, oh guys, YouTube stabilization, audio stabilization. Take that off. It's a setting in your audio advanced settings. Make sure that that's off. Otherwise what you're hearing, it won't work. All right, so that's with the EQ here. Color, let's take it.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
See, I wanted it to be a little bit darker going into the compressor because I don't want to be sending in signal that I'm not going to be using in the compressor, right? So next we have the 1176.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
So we're getting not only gain, but we're also getting tone.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
A gluing, it feels cohesive. Next up,
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
So we're actually starting to hear it now because otherwise it sounds so dark and gross, right? But I knew I was going to be adding that in, so we're happy with that. All right, so next up we have a gentle reverb. We're using Valhalla Supermassive free plugin. Again, I just have a sent to the reverb. And this one I'm using Reverb 2000. It's in the reverbs and small. This one sounds really good. I like Reverb 2000. I then actually didn't play with this one that much, but I often will play with them. So we have that going. And I also EQ'd my reverb, right? So I added in a coloration there, right? So let's take a listen to how the vocals sound with those two. Without the reverb.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
Okay, now with the reverb.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
See, that just sounds nice. And it's not something that's very long. It's a short reverb, but it adds in all of the sauce. And because these are my background vocals, I'm not going to be side chaining my reverb. And I don't mind that it's a bit drenched because I want it further back than the main vocal. Okay, so let's take a listen to it with the main vocal. All right.
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
See? That sounds pretty good, no?
Shackles off my feet so I can dance.
It supports it, it adds color, it adds tone, it adds some emphasis. That ain't bad. I'm not mad about that. All right, guys, so let's take a listen to the whole thing together.
Take these shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise you. I just wanna praise you.
Cool. Next up, we will be doing vocal hits. So this is emphasizing specific words and or some sort of call and repeat. After that, we will also be doing in another video ad-libs and how I approach ad-libs because those are a huge part of any sort of vocal production. I hope this is fun and helpful for you. I hope it's okay that I recorded the vocals before doing the actual video just because this video would be so long because there's so many different vocal parts. But yeah, it takes a while to figure out different vocal parts. Pianos are really helpful, guitars. If you know basic theory, that's really cool. If you can play out chords that you want to sing, that's also really helpful too. If I have like a chord progression I'm doing on the piano, I would maybe start with that and then build harmony on top of that. Again, it's just trial and error. We are putting on our Explore caps. This is us trying to serve the song, and you can mess up. That's all good. The whole idea of it is eventually you carve it out so it makes sense, and if you need to, you retrack your vocals. You know, there's just so many tools available to us now. Take the pressure off yourselves and go explore. It's lots of fun. I hope you like this video, and yeah. All right, guys, that's it for this video. I hope it helped with understanding different ways to approach vocal arrangements and vocal stacks. Please let me know if you like this format for the demo. I am trying to cater these longer videos for you so they're interesting as long as possible. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. We come out with new content every week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!